Frank Abagnale. Catch Me If You Can. So let's read summary of this book. Catch Me If You Can is a book written by Frank Abagnale, a former con artist, along with the co-author Stan Redding. Maybe he was also a con artist too, who knows. The book was first published in 1980 and was later adapted into a film in 2002. You know, it is very interesting how bad behavior, bad people take away place in history. You will never see how, some person did, a bunch of kind, good things, and his book popular. He's like Hollywood making movie about his good behavior. No, it's just people like pay attention to the bad things. It's really weird. So the book is a memoir of Abagnale's life as a con artist from the ages of 15 to 21. So fucking young age, when we was just dreaming about some nasty things, when we was having wet dreams. This guy was making millions. So during this time he assumed several identities, including an airline pilot for Pan Am, it's the name of the airline, a doctor in Georgia, and a prosecutor in Louisiana. Yeah, as you see, he changed many majors, but of course he was faking these majors. Yeah, he was kinda, if he was choosing right way, maybe he could be a good actor in Hollywood, and he can do that in the legal way, impersonating other people, and his movie is gonna be popular, but there's no guarantee. So Abagnale was an expert forger and a trickster who managed to live a life of luxury by cashing $2.5 million in fraudulent checks in every US state and 26 foreign countries. Holy shit, it's not just American con artist, it's a worldwide scammer. His exploits included impersonating a Pan Am pilot and flying over 1,000,000 miles by deadheading, impersonating a pediatrician in Georgia hospital for nearly a year, and passing the Louisiana bar exam to practice law. How he passed that if he wasn't really a lawyer? What about this? Maybe corruption, who knows? So all while evading the FBI and international police. The book also covers his eventual capture by the French police when he was just 21, his imprisonment in France, Sweden, and the US, and his subsequent work as a consultant for the FBI, helping them to prevent the kind of fraud that he had perpetrated. But maybe it was easy, not easy, but I mean more chances to do that back in the days. I guess there was no internet and that kind of stuff at his age, because nowadays if you want to repeat the same stuff, it's gonna be harder with this digital technology, So Catch Me If You Can is a fascinating look into the life of a unique criminal, and it provides insight into the mind of a con artist and the weaknesses in systems that he was able to exploit. Yeah, he was like a hacker actually, but he was doing all this stuff physically and finding weakness. Yeah, in other words, we can say it was social engineering when he was hacking not technology, but he was hacking humans. So let's look to the key points of this book. Catch Me If You Can by Frank Abagnale Jr. is a captivating story of a young man's life as a master con artist. Here's some key points from the book. So, early life and family. Abagnale's life of crime began after his parents' divorce when he was 15. He started with small cons and forgeries to get by. Just like he started from 15. Goddamn. So, impersonations. Abagnale assumed several false identities, including a pilot, a doctor, a lawyer, and a sociology professor. He used these identities to travel the world and live luxurious lifestyle. Forgery skills. Abagnale was an expert forger, particularly of checks. He was smart, like he was choosing like the heaven of this kind of things. He managed to defraud banks out of millions of dollars through his forgeries. Forgeries, is it correct to say? Yeah, commercial break for checking pronunciation. Forgeries, pronunciation. It seems I'm wrong. So, forgeries. So, Google, please teach me.
Forgeries.
Ah, it's forgeries. Okay, forgeries. And it's mean what? Forgery. It's like a bill, I guess, like bank bill. Let's look at the definition. Give me the definition. Give me the definition. Forgery. Forgery. So forgery, it's an illegal copy of a document, painting, etc., or the crime of making such illegal copies. In other words, it's a fake. Why you make things complicated English language? Just say that it's fucking fake. But no, you need like 10,000 synonyms, and every time I should think like, oh my god, it's like a new word, what I should do, blah blah blah. Okay, let's make your English great again. No problem. So, another day, another new day, another new vocabulary. So let's continue our journey. So forgery skills. Abagnale was an expert forger, particularly of checks. He managed to defraud banks out of millions of dollars through his forgeries. Okay, He was scamming banks. What else? Evasion of law enforcement. Despite being pursued by the FBI and other international law enforcement agencies, Abagnale was able to evade capture for several years due to his skill at deception and his understanding of their procedures. Capture and imprisonment. Abagnale was eventually captured in France when he was 21 and was imprisoned in France, Sweden, and the US. His experiences in prison were harsh, particularly in France. Oh my goodness, he just like international criminal, like kind of Pablo Escobar, but in a like scamming banks, law enforcement, this kind of stuff. So next one is work for the FBI. What? After serving less than 5 years of his 12-year sentence in the US, Abagnale was released on the condition that he would help the FBI without pay to investigate crimes committed by fraud and scam artists. They took 12 years of his life and after said, you know what, let's teach us how you do that, yeah. Without paying. He's a scammer, come on, he's not doing anything for free. So next one is reformation. After his release from prison, Abagnale turned his life around. He started a legitimate business, Abagnale and Associates, which advises companies on fraud prevention. He's also got married and had 3 sons. Yeah, if we will again compare him with the hackers, we can say that at the beginning his life was like a black hacker, how they call it, black hat. Yeah, and when he decided to be an angel, he becomes a white hat. Yeah, because it's just only thing what he can do. And after, at the end of the day, he found a way how to make it in legal way and teach other people how to prevent this kind of crime. So the story of Frank Abagnale Jr. is a statement to the power of cunning and deception, but also the possibility of redemption and making a positive contribution after a life of crime. So what else? Also, I was asking about psychological stuff. Yeah, what kind of psychological tips we can get from this book. Yeah, a psychological summary of the book, Catch Me If You Can by Frank Abagnale. In other words, it's a brief summary of what kind of psychological tactics he used in his this kind of illegal things in order to manipulate people. So first one is confidence and authority. Abagnale often assumed roles that associated with respect and authority, such as pilot or doctor. By projecting confidence and authority, he was able to gain people's trust and manipulate them into accepting his false identities. Yeah, in other words, if you want people to trust you, you have to be confident, It's not just about, related with these kind of illegal things. In just normal daily life, it's not enough just to be professional, let's say. You also should show confidence in your behavior, because let's say you're professional but your behavior not confident, people gonna doubt about you, People gonna think, why he behaving not confident? Maybe he hiding something, you know. That's why, especially if you, not confident, you have to be very confident. You have to hide your weaknesses, because even if you will do some stupid stuff, but if you will gonna do that in confident way, yeah, people gonna believe that with this way, if you're gonna do that with the confident. So next psychological tip is understanding of social and systematic weakness. Abagnale had a keen understanding of social norms and systematic weaknesses, which he exploited to his advantage. For example, he knew that people tend to trust those in a uniform without question, which allowed him to pass as a Pan Am pilot. Pan Am pilot. It's a airline's name, company name. Yeah, this one is very strong actually. I remember I was reading a book by Robert Cialdini or something. Maybe I mispronounced his name. Like about psychological tips, and there was like a kind of test or something where at the street someone was asking to do other people to do something, and at the first situation this person was just with t-shirt, jeans, and at the second situation he was wearing suit, tie, white t-shirt, and of course at the second situation people was following his instructions much better. Why? Because they saw his outfit, and they were thinking in a stereotypical way. He wearing suit. He's smart. He should be a smart ass, or like important person. Blah blah blah. And by using this kind of stereotypical stuff, this kind of con artist using people. So next psychological tip is adaptability and quick thinking. Abagnale was highly adaptable and could think quickly on his feet. This allowed him to respond effectively to unexpected situations and maintain his deceptions. Oh yeah, if you wanna go, especially if you gonna do this kind of illegal things, you have to be very good at improvising, improvisation, because you can never plan 100% everything. It's always gonna be some unusual surprises, and you have to act very smart, and what is more important, you have to make quick decisions. Yeah, if let's say he was impersonating doctor, and he was doing that in a slow, not confident way, of course he will not gonna be this kind of let's say successful in his illegal stuff. Yeah, so third psychological tip from this book: quick thinking and adaptability. Actually, I think it's also important if you're doing daily normal legal stuff. I think it's useful tip. So next psychological tip is preparation and attention to detail. Despite the spontaneous nature of his cons, Abagnale also demonstrated a high level of preparation and attention to detail. He studied the roles he was impersonating and the systems he was exploring, which made his deceptions more convincing. So again, preparation and attention to detail. Despite the spontaneous nature of his cons, Abagnale also demonstrated a high level of preparation and attention to detail. He studied the roles he was impersonating and the systems he was exploring, which made his deceptions more convincing. Yeah, even though, he was improvisating and doing this kind of spontaneous stuff, despite that he was preparing, making some general plan, learning details, because especially details is very important. It's in general important in every major, legal, illegal, it doesn't matter. So next one is next psychological tip is lack of guilt or remorse. Abagnale demonstrated a lack of guilt or remorse for his actions. So another commercial break for checking definition. Remorse is remorse, a feeling of sadness and being sorry for something you have done.
Remorse.
Remorse. Synonyms like regret. Okay, gotcha. Regret. Yeah, in other words, if you did something but after you saying, oh my god, why I did that, it's gonna be remorse. Yeah. Another synonym of the regret. Okay. So let's continue our journey with this Abagnale. So what else? So I was reading about psychological tips. Yeah, as you see, I'm very bad at preparation for podcast. It's everything spontaneously. No, there is preparation, but maybe 1%. Okay, so lack of guilt or remorse, in other words, lack of guilt or regret. Abagnale demonstrated lack of guilt or remorse for his actions, a common trait among con artists. This allowed him to deceive and defraud others without the moral qualms that might hold others back. Yeah, actually, this kind of behavior, when you don't have empathy, regret to other people's feelings, it is actually one of the typical psychological stuff of psycho people, And another thing, it's another proof of the theory that kids who raised in a one-parent family or family who was divorced becomes this kind of bad criminal guy. Because I was reading his little bit his book, and I found out that his family was divorced, and he was living with his father, like first with his mother, But after he decided to live with his father, yeah, first with his mother and after with his father, but maybe it was just how can I say, just primitive pragmatic way, because his father was kind of businessman, politician, you know, and he was very fanatic about girls. It was always like not enough girls' attention to him, and I think it's another psychological stuff when you don't have enough one of your parents, in this case his mother, and that's why he was like as a result other females was always not enough to him. It is also some psychological, you know, stuff when you have this kind of trauma in your childhood, and it's opposite with girls, you know, when, for example, they had bad relationship, or bad relationship with the father, or they didn't live with the father. After there is always not enough main attention to them. So next psychological tip from this book is charm and persuasion. Persuasion. Let me check. Correct. Sometimes I guess, sometimes I not. Yeah, it all depends of the luck. So
persuasion.
Persuasion. Ah, it's like a j, yeah.
Persuasion.
Persuasion. There is no fucking j in English alphabet, but suddenly they pronouncing in this way. Okay. No logic as usual. Okay, so persuasion, it's a particular set of beliefs, especially religious ones. We need, for example, we need a society which welcomes people of all religious persuasions. Yeah, in other words, it's a synonym of belief. So there is another new word in our vocabulary. So persuasion. That sounds like some Chinese name. Persuasion Kim, no? Or someone who comes from Asia. Yeah, persuasion. All right. So let's continue our trip with this book. So again, about psychological tips. Yeah, it was last one, charm and persuasion. Abagnale was charming and persuasive, which helped him win people over and convince them of his false identities. Yeah, like you have to look nice with good clothes. You have to be confident, like a charming, you know, and you have to, you know, like able to convince others in your, let's say, religion. So the book provides a cautionary tale about the power of deception and manipulation. It also underscores the importance of skepticism and critical thinking in protecting oneself against such tactics. Yeah, is the moral of this book if we're talking about from, let's say, defensive perspective, from this kind of people, you have to always ask yourself, if something like too much good, you have to ask yourself, maybe something wrong here, maybe this person hiding something. I'm not saying that you have to be like always this kind of 100% critical, but like, let's say 50-50, like just make double check anything and anyone in your life in order to not be in these kind of situations. So let's read a little bit some part of the book. Maybe we will start from chapter 1. Okay. Chapter 1, the fledgling. Let's check out another word. If you're a native speaker, you already know this word, but we all, with the broken English, we have to learn it, you know. Fledgling, okay. A young bird that has grown feathers and is learning to fly. Good analogy. So, new and without experience, in other words. So, yeah, it's actually a good one, like a freshman, yeah. Fledgling. Alright, another word. I just opened a new chapter and there's a word which I don't have a clue. Fledgling. Okay. So let's continue our reading. So, chapter 1, fledgling. In other words, bird who just starting to fly. Yeah. So, a man's alter ego is nothing more than his favorite image of himself. The mirror in my room in the Windsor Hotel in Paris reflected my favorite image of me. A darkly handsome young airline pilot, smooth-skinned, bull-shouldered, and immaculately groomed. Immaculately, what the fuck is that? Okay, whatever. Let's continue. At the time, virtue was not one of my virtues. What the fuck? Satisfied with my appearance, I picked up my bag, left the room, and 2 minutes later was standing in front of the cashier's page. "Good morning, Captain," said the cashier in warm tones. The markings on my uniform identified me as a first officer, a co-pilot, but the French are like that. They tend to overestimate everything save their woman, wine, and art. They tend to overestimate everything save their woman, wine, and art. So I signed the hotel bill. She slid across the counter, started to turn away, then wheeled back, taking a payroll check from the inside pocket of my jacket. "Oh, can you cash this for me? Your Paris nightlife nearly wiped me out, and it will be another week before I'm home." I smiled ruefully. She picked up the Pan American World Airways check and looked at the amount. "I'm sure we can, Captain, but I must get the manager to approve a check this large," she said. She stepped into an office behind her and was back in a moment. Displaying a pleased smile, she handed me the check to endorse. "I assume you want American dollars?" she asked, and without waiting for my reply, counted out 682 and 73 cents in Yankee currency and coin. I pushed it back to $50 bills. "I would appreciate if you would take care of the necessary people, since I was so careless," I said, smiling. She beamed. "Of course, Captain, you're very kind," she said. Have a safe flight, and please come back to see us." You see how he was acting? Like, okay, first of all, yeah, he was confident. Second of all, he wasn't that much greedy, you know. He was like kind of corrupting people by giving them money, and just imagine that worker instead of you, like you at that place, and if someone was giving you $100 like a tip, of course next time you're gonna say, "Hello sir, how are you, blah blah blah." I mean, he was investing to the people by corrupting them, by buying their trust. So let's continue. I took a cab to Orly, instructing the driver to let me off at the TWA entrance. I bypassed the TW ticket counter in the lobby and presented my FAA license and a Pan AM ID card to the TW operations officer. He checked his manifest. "Okay, First Officer Frank Williams, dead heading to Rome. Gotcha. Fill this out, please." He handed me the familiar pink form for non-revenue passengers, and I penned into the pertinent data. I picked up my bag and walked to the customs gate market. "Crew members only." I started to heft my bag to the countertop, but the inspector, a wizened old man with a wispy mustache, recognized me and waved me through. Yeah, let's look at his next behavior. In order to get free, in order to fly for free, he was wearing this kind of pilot costume, clothes, and he was entering for the special, you know, how they calling, terminal in airport for the pilots. And of course, pilots not paying anything, and by that he was able to fly for free. So a young boy fell in beside me as I walked to the plane, gazing with unabashed admiration at my uniform with its burnished gold stripes and other adornments. "Are you the pilot?" he asked. He was English from his accent. Huh, okay, we have to ask this with English accent. "You the pilot?" he asked. He was English from his accent. "Nah, just a passenger like you," I replied. "I fly for Pan Pan Am. Yeah, let's say this with Southern accent, American Southern accent. No, I just passenger like you. I replied. I fly for Pan Am. You fly 707s. I shook my head. Use it too, I said. Right now I am on DC-8S. I like kids. This one reminded me of myself a few years past. An attractive blonde stewardess met me as I stepped aboard and helped me to stow my gear in the crew's luggage bin. We got a full load this trip, Mr. Williams, she said. You beat out two other guys for the jump seat. I'll be serving the cabin. Yeah, it is. Again, it was back in the days, and nowadays I guess it's gonna be way more complicated to do this, because with this kind of digital stuff, I guess you have to have some ID card, and you have to put it to the this kind of things, this kind of machine in order to pass. It's just another synonym for scammer or what? So, hitchhiker. Yeah, in other words, person who like getting things for free. But it is especially related with to the people who want to do that in a by getting free ride. Hitchhiker. Okay. So let's continue our hitchhiking. But I have a question. He was wearing Pan American Airlines clothes, right? And he was using another airline's plane. How they allowed him to do that? Maybe it was kind of normal, but I don't know. It's just makes sense. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, to one airline to give this kind of hitchhiking to another airline's pilot. But if you're so smart and confident, why not? Okay, just meant for me, I said, and don't worry about that. If you get busy, hitchhikers are not entitled to anything more than the ride. I ducked into the cabin. The pilot, co-pilot, and flight engineer were making their pre-takeoff equipment and instrument check, but they paused courteously at my entrance. Hi, Frank Williams, Pan Am. And don't let me interrupt you, I said. Gary Giles, said the pilot, sticking out his hand. He nodded toward the other two men, Bill Austin, number 2, and Jim Wright. Good to have you with us. I shook hands with the other 2 airmen and dropped into. You fly 707s? I shook my head. Use it too. I said, right now I'm on DC-8S. It's a number of the plane, I guess. I like kids. This one reminded me of myself a few years past. An attractive blonde stewardess met me as I stepped aboard and helped me to stow my gear into the crew's luggage bin. We got a full load this trip, Mr. Williams, she said. You beat out 2 other guys for the jump seat. I'll be serving the cabin. Just look to his confidence, He had no clue about, even if you will, let's say, prepare for this for this such kind of things, it's gonna be so fucking easy to destroy all your legend by asking your details. Like the real pilot have to, I guess, understand and can ask some detailed question about profession, and if you will not give him correct answer, he gonna doubt about you. But even though, because of this kind of moments, our con artist was visiting these pilots and saying, hello, I am blah blah blah. Yeah, it's again about confidence, about being prepared, about giving smart answers to any spontaneous question. So, blah blah blah, hello hello. I shook hands with the other two airmen and dropped it into your flight 707, blah blah blah. I ducked into the cabin. The pilot, co-pilot, and flight engineer were making their pre-takeoff equipment and instrument check, but they paused courteously at my entrance. Hi Frank, get regards, blah blah blah. An attractive blonde stewardess met me as I stepped aboard and helped me stow my gear and cruise luggage. We got full load this trip, Mr. Williams, she said. You beat out two other guys for the jump seat. I'll be serving the cabin. Just milk for me, I said, and don't worry about that if you get busy. Hitchhikers are not entitled to anything. Oh, it was like before, okay. Why am I reading the same stuff again and again? What the fuck book I downloaded? What the fuck? That's the bad thing about not preparing, you know. So, okay. I downloaded a stupid book version where the same stuff was written 10 times. So, we were airborne within 20 minutes. Giles took the 707 up to 30,000 feet, checked his instruments, cleared with the Orly Tower, and then uncoiled himself from his seat. He appraised me with casual thoroughness and then indicated his chair. Why don't you fly this bird for a while, Frank, he said. I will go back and mingle with the paying passengers. His offer was a courtesy gesture sometimes accorded a dead hiding pilot from a competing airline. Yeah, he was offering him to drive the plane. I dropped my cap on the cabin floor and slid into the command set, very much aware that I had been handed custody of 140 lives, my own included. Holy shit, like this fucking bastard was agreed to drive a plane, even though he was a fake pilot. Austin, who had taken the controls when Giles vacated his seat, surrendered them to me. You got it, Captain, he said, grinning. I promptly put the giant jet on automatic pilot and hoped to hell the gadget worked, because I couldn't fly kite. Kite? What the fuck is this? Yeah, again, he was agreed to drive but hopefully at least he knew how to turn on autopilot. So kite.
Kite.
Alright, kites. I got you. A frame covered with cloth or plastic, and joined to a long string that you fly in the air when the weather is windy. Yeah, it is kinda like a weather balloon, but a small version, you can say. Yeah, but how he learned how to turn on autopilot. Yeah, imagine that he didn't have a clue about it, and he was risking 140 people's life, including him. So fucking risky situation. Kite. So let's continue what this bastard did after. I wasn't a pilot or any other kind of pilot. I was an imposter, one of the most wanted criminals on 4 continents. And at the moment, I was doing my thing, putting super hype on some nice people. I was a millionaire twice over and half again before I was 21. Holy shit. Before 21, he was already a millionaire. Fucking smart. I stole every nickel of it and blew the bulk of the bundle on fine threads, gourmet foods, luxuries, lodgings, fantastic foxes, fine wheels, and other essential goodies. I partied in every capital Europe basket on all the famous beaches and good time at it in South America, the South Seas, the Orient, and the more palatable portions of Africa. I wasn't altogether a relaxing life. I didn't exactly keep my finger on the panic button, but I put a lot of mileage on my running shoes. I made a lot of exits through side doors, down fire escapes, or over rooftops. I abandoned more wardrobes in the course of 5 years than most men acquire in a lifetime. I was slipperier than a buttered escargot. Oddly enough, I never felt like a criminal. I was one, of course, and I was aware of the fact. I have been described by authorities and news reporters as one of the century's cleverest bomb check passers, flim-flam artists and crooks, a con man of Academy Award caliber. Yeah, now I understand why DiCaprio was playing his role in his movie Catch Me If You Can. Great movie, by the way. Yeah, his life was really like a Hollywood action movie. So I was swindler and poser of astonishing ability. I sometimes astonish myself with some of my impersonations and shenanigans, but I never at any time deluded myself. I was always aware that I was Frank Abagnale Jr., that I was a check swindler and a faker, and when I were caught, I wasn't going to win any Oscars. I was going to jail. Yeah, hopefully he was understanding that he was doing bad things. I was right too. I did time in a French pocky, served a stint in a Swedish slumber, and cleansed myself of all my American sins in the Pittsburgh, Virginia federal job. While in the last prison, I voluntarily subjected myself to a psychological evaluation by University of Virginia criminologist, a psychiatrist. He spent 2 years giving me various written and oral tests using truth serum injections and polygraph examinations on various occasions. Is it legal? Like some professor was making this kind of test to the criminal. Yeah, he's criminal, but he was doing this kind of experiments with him. So the shrink concluded that I had a very low criminal threshold. In other words, I had no business being a crook in the first place. Yeah, of course, he was an angel. He was doing these kind of things, but a professor from university saying, no, he's a good boy. One of the New York cops who worked hardest to catch me read the reports and snorted. These head doctors gotta be kidding us, he scoffed. This phone rips off several hundred banks, hustles half the hotels in the world for everything but the shits, screws every airline in the skies, including most of their stewardesses, passes enough bad checks to paper the walls of Pentagon. Runs his own goddamn colleagues and universities, makes half the cops in 20 countries look like dumbasses, while he's stealing over $2 million and he has a low criminal threshold. What the hell would he have done if he had a high criminal threshold? Looted Fort Knox. Yeah, we can see how the report of this professor was making angry American cops. So the detective confronted me with the paper. We had become amiable adversaries. You cornered this shrink, didn't you, Frank? I told him I answered every question asked me as truthfully as possible, that I completed every test given me as honestly as I could. I didn't convince him. Like he was cheating banks, countries, and when it comes to professor, you think he will not gonna do that? Of course he gonna use all his old techniques in order to look like a honest, humble person. It's just his major to misinform people. And at this situation, his victim was instead of bank, it was just professor. So it was a review of the book Catch Me If You Can. If you like it, this you can thumbs up and subscribe the channel. Yeah, see you next time.